Letters to the editor. VoiceEye codes offer needed assistance. Although COVID-19 disrupted virtually all of 2020, we can still dream a little. Imagine that you are finally on the plane and ready to head out on that long-awaited vacation. You pull out your BVA Bulletin to read during your flight. Darn it, since the Seeing AI app, KNFB Reader, and many others require Wi-Fi in order for us to read, you naturally assume that the same is true for the Bulletin. This is very unfortunate because you were so looking forward to reading the latest happenings of the Louisiana-Mississippi Regional Group. Fret no more. Have you wondered what the QR code is on the top right corner of every bulletin page? Have you noticed it on other BVA documents? If you are totally blind, you will need to trust me. That QR code, much like a barcode, is the key. That little smudge contains all the information on that page. The free mobile app is called VoiceEye. The instructions for downloading the app are found on the inside front cover of every issue of the Bulletin. One great thing about VoiceEye is that it reads articles in their entirety rather than column by column. For example, if a page has two articles, one above the other, and both articles are in two columns, most OCR apps will read down one column and then down the next column. This scenario makes it easy to get confused since a new article will begin before the previous one has been completed. The VoiceEye app reads the articles in sequence. Since all the information is contained within that QR code, the app needs only to dissect it. Therefore, it is self-contained, does not have to reach out to the internet, and does not need Wi-Fi. Although this app has many other capabilities, not all of them function in the United States. This is just another effective tool to keep in your toolbox to make life easier. Now, sit back, listen to the Bulletin, and enjoy your long-awaited rest and relaxation away from home. Tracy Farrell, Biloxi, Mississippi, Louisiana-Mississippi Regional Group. Adapt and overcome at Gulf Coast BRC. Adapt and overcome may not be the official motto of the Gulf Coast Blind Rehabilitation Center, GCBRC, but it is most definitely part of its standard operating procedure during COVID-19. I expected to stay at the GCBRC in Biloxi for 6 weeks. However, after just 4 days there, I was informed that it was closing due to the pandemic. I had to go home immediately. 4 days after arriving home, I received a wellness check phone call. During the call, I discussed my disappointment at not being able to complete my Mac computer class to update my skills. The next day, I received a call informing me that I would be starting my computer class the following Monday morning and that I would have Miss Tiffany Moore as my instructor. I have been attending class every morning at 8 a.m. at my dining room table. There have been times when my class has lasted 3 hours. Professor Tiffany has been very patient and thorough with my training. I would like to applaud and commend GCBRC Chief Deborah Gilley and her staff for their aggressive and dedicated approach to our blinded veterans and for their forward-thinking manner of adapting and overcoming during this unprecedented time. Daryl Goldsmith, Pensacola, Florida, Emerald Coast Regional Group. New chargers help make the connection. During a recent gathering of blinded veterans, we were discussing books when there was a mention of magnetic cable chargers. This was my introduction to a technology that helps reduce the wear and tear on Victor readers and makes connecting many other devices much easier. These chargers are in 2 pieces. A small metal adapter fits onto the charging port and remains in the device during use. Recharging the battery involves simply bringing the charging end of the cable, which is magnetized, close to the adapter. Blinded veterans with some vision will note that a light also comes on when current flow is accomplished. We have heavily used the Victor Reader Stream and its successors for countless purposes for nearly 10 years. Consequently, the charging cables have sometimes been an issue. 4 of the 6 Victor Readers I have owned the past 10 years have had problems with the electrical connection for recharging the battery. The new magnetic chargers seem to reduce the wear on the cables and hence minimize problems I've had in the past. I have numerous other devices that employ rechargeable batteries. Smartphones, tablets, speakers, and other devices can use these same chargers. Further information on securing them is available through Stuart Nelson at BVA National Headquarters, snelson@bva.org, or 202-371-8880, extension 316. Michael Taylor, Fleming Isle, Florida, Florida Regional Group. BVA Bulletin Audio Version. BVA has produced an audio version of the BVA Bulletin going back several decades to send via free matter for the blind to members. At one time, the finished product came in the form of a phonograph record. In the 1970s, and lasting at least 35 years, audio cassette tapes were produced. In 2011, the association was still mailing more than 8,000 cassettes for each issue. All members received them unless they indicated that they were reading another version. Although cassettes have never become 100% extinct, the year 2012 was a major turning point. Cassettes were no longer available in large quantities at a reasonable price. Suddenly, it was the opposite of before. Rather than telling national headquarters if they didn't want it, members now needed to request the audio version if they specifically wanted it, provided in the form of a compact disc. This has been announced through a variety of communications over the past 7 to 8 years. Unfortunately, many BVA members have never understood that a CD can be requested. I am pleased to reaffirm that the audio version of the Bulletin is alive and well. Not only are CDs available, past and present issues of the professional recording can also be accessed on the BVA website. Blinded veterans and their families can listen to the usually 80-minute recording all at once, or it can be accessed in individual sections under the various headings. If you listen to the May-June issue of the Bulletin, you may have noted that the familiar voice of the past 6 years sounded different. At the end of April, a dedicated Bruce Moyer of audiovideodata.com in Bethesda, Maryland, retired from working on the Bulletin. Bruce had recorded, edited, and duplicated the CDs for each issue for some 6 years and did an excellent job. The equally great news is that Bruce pointed us to a talented friend who is also local in the Washington, D.C. area. John O'Leary, who does his own audio production, engineering, and voiceover services, narrated the May-June issue and is the voice of this issue as well. John has a smooth, clear voice, and his perfectionism creates flawless recordings. Another wonderful thing about John is that he was in the Air Force from August 1964 through 1968. He spent his final year at Tan Son Nhut Air Base, now Ho Chi Minh City. He was an electronics technician on ground-based aviation navigation systems, another way of saying flight facilities equipment repairman back then. Welcome, John, and thank you. Stuart Nelson, Bulletin Editor.